Rishabh Pant left his first ball. Rishabh Pant ran down the wicket to his second one, and he played a dirty big slog that takes the edge of his angled bat and goes over the slip cord. There is a feeling that the second one is what Pant does more. But for the next 14 deliveries, he barely plays a shot. He dabs the ball into the offside, uses his soft wicket-keeping hands to defend balls that end up at his feet, and there are more leaves. For a moment, you have forgotten who is batting. It could be any number 5 in the world, just coming out, playing a normal knock. Then Pant charges Wokes again, and the bowler almost loses his shins for another boundary. Rishabh Pant is 11 from 17 balls, and he's played more or less like Shivnarine Chanderpaul for some of it, and Brendan McCullum for 2 balls. In one universe, he's anchored like Shiv for a gritty rebuild. In another, he's already balling for 40 off 12, and somehow both of these things are happening at the same time. But Wokes could only remember the 2 big shots, and so could most of us. So his next delivery is a wide sucker ball. If Pant was an idiot slogger, there is no way he wouldn't swing wildly at this. Instead, he kicks at it like he's padding up to a spinner in the 1990s. There is seemingly no rhyme or reason to when he attacks and when he doesn't. Stuart Broad said this after the day's play. So watching Pant is like skipping between universes mid-delivery. You're never quite sure which version of him you are bowling to. He goes from dead batting blocks with a velvet touch to an on-the-run swipe across the line from a wide ball outside off stump in the space of 2 deliveries. I mean, at times, you're not bowling to a batter, but an iPod shuffle with death mode. There is an internal logic and sense to what Rishabh Pant does, but he's the only one who understands it. Each shot seemingly disconnected from the last one, like he has a different law of physics applied to it, as if each decision is in its own parallel universe because of some quantum reaction spawned from one of his shots. His innings consist of string particles that defy the normal laws of cricket gravity and create a multi-dimensional framework. To everyone else, it looks like madness. To him, it feels like method. Rishabh Pant's batting is a multiverse. Cricket boards actually make watching their games almost impossible now. I spend almost as much time trying to find where I can view it as I do actually following the action. That is why I use NordVPN. They let me find all the cricket I want to watch while protecting me from the nasty side of the internet. Nord will free your cricket matches. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/good areas to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months on top. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Watch every match with NordVPN. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Sunil Gavaskar, 2024. He said this during the Boxing Day test when Rishabh Pant tried to flick a ball over 2 deep-set leg side fielders, and instead he gets a leading edge and it ends up at third. Not at all what he was planning, and even though Australia gets some credit for having that fielder out, he was probably there for the uppercut or the genuine edge from a swipe across the line. Or as Sunil Gavaskar said, you've got 2 fielders there and you still go for that, and you just missed the previous shot. Look where you've been caught, deep third man. That is throwing away your wicket. At this point, Harsha Bhogle tries to interject, but Gavaskar takes over again. Not in the situation that India was. You have to understand the situation as well. You cannot say that was your natural game. I'm sorry, that is not your natural game. That is letting your team down badly. He should not be going in that dressing room. He should be going into the other dressing room. In that match, India were 191 for 5. Australia made more than 400. Pant was well set on 28, with Jadeja at the other end, a long batting lineup to come, and he played that shot. Gavaskar couldn't understand any of it. This was not his cricket. It was not in his language or his tempo. It was an alien attack on all that he loved. To him, Pant's game wasn't just reckless. It was from a timeline where Test cricket was raised by wolves. He is not alone. Every Indian fan has a friend or an uncle who complains about Pant all the time. They just don't get it. And yes, you can try and rationalize some of it. But when a man is falling on his ass and is getting caught at a fielding position that is just randomly being placed there, it's hard to use logic to explain that. It is like talking to a flat earther about how gravity and planetary motion could only exist on a spherical planet, but while they're looking at a flat horizon. But then you get days like today, where Pant becomes one of only 2 Indian keepers to make 100 and a 50 in the same test, joining Farooq Engineer. For his time, Farooq was pretty attacking, even if his strike rate was only 57. That's because the keepers in his era were way slower. So he's actually 30% quicker than them, whereas Pant is 32% quicker than modern keepers. Gavaskar grew up watching Engineer and then played with him for 13 tests. He wasn't even the only attacking keeper that India had. Buddy Kundaran was around when Gavaskar was a teenager, and both of these men liked to whack it. For Gavaskar, because he grew up with that, it would have been an acceptable risk taking. But those were innings from his universe, ones tethered to familiar rules. Pant's shot selection seems untethered, warped by a different gravitational laws. But remember, at that time, there would have been engineer shots and innings that frustrated older players. Because that has happened at every time an attacking player exists. But Rishabh Pant is obviously a much better player with the bat than engineer. And now he has as many hundreds in England as any keeper ever. Les Ames might still have him covered, but Ali Stewart and Matt Pryor were both incredible players, and Pant has been better so far in his career. And so much so that it is only him and Andy Flower with 100 in each innings as a keeper. Pant hasn't reached the Zimbabweans level yet, but that was awfully high. We rated him as the 38th best ever in the art of batting. But in terms of impact, you could argue that Pant's done things that Flower simply could not. Flower hit 20 career sixes. Pant is already at 82 from a lot fewer matches. They play comfortably different roles, even if they both come in at the same position, which means that Pant is producing incredibly attacking batting while taking up a top 5 position. He's like a weird hybrid of Adam Gilchrist and Flower, without the average of either, but with parts of both. Like, it always felt like Gilchrist was trying to hit the ball hard, even when defending. Pant goes from flamethrower to patting puppies mode. His batting shows that there is a decision being made, not that the vibes are taking him somewhere. And as for Flower, he just never had the ability to change the direction of a match quickly. When batting at number 5, the median score when the Zimbabwean came to the crease was 63.5. For Pant, it's almost identical at 69.5. So they were both in early and under the pump. But from that spot, Pant can get you out of it very quickly, while Flower might do it more often, but it takes a much longer time. Pant detonates innings, often in both directions. He opens a wormhole with every backswing. Sometimes it sucks the opposition in, sometimes himself. Like when he sees an off spinner coming in, he doesn't think, well, I should knock the ball around here. He thinks this is a chance to get the big over. And for a long period, whether it be Shoaib Bashir or Joe Root, he was trying to go up and over cover almost every ball. He knew it, England knew it, the crowd knew it. Everyone could see what he was trying to do. He was even dropped off one, and it still didn't stop this kind of an attack. That's because he sees drops differently from other players, because he sees everything differently from other players. He gives more half chances than them, so he lives with that danger in a way that Dean Elgar could never. He is taking so many risks that he isn't living each one. They are just part of the symphony of violence he is creating. But he doesn't hear each note, just the entire concert. So he will continue to go hard and create even more chances and mistakes. Like when he fell over trying to scoop cast and took an inside edge back towards his stumps. Or when he hit a ball off the toe of his bat that could have just gone anywhere. He could pull back, but he doesn't. He plays at his rhythm, one that changes so frequently that jazz musicians would get dizzy. It means that the opposition is never truly comfortable. And through that, he can control the field. One of the reasons Brendan McCullum played the way he did was to take the slips out of the game. Headingley is a ground where you get a lot of nicks. Rishabh Pant got regular edges, but England just never really had a full slip cordon. They were plucking holes on like every boundary, having fielders out to slow him down. And so when he made the mistake they were desperate for, there wasn't anyone there to take it. Attacking batters make you feel like you're in a different game, where there just aren't enough fielders on the ground to stop them. Think back to the 20th ball of this innings. India were in trouble, and Pant has decided to whack cast across the line, slog sweeping a ball at almost 90 miles per hour. But it takes the top edge and it flies straight up. And Pant thinks he is out. He doesn't even bother running. For most batters in most universes, this is gone. But something happens to the ball in the air. A gust of wind seems to push it away from the leg side fielders, overslip the keeper who are tracking it, and nowhere near the fine leg either. It lands safely for another boundary in a fielding DMZ. India with 3 down, not much more than 100 runs in front, and it was a terrible shot at a terrible time, but it was safe. And so were the edges through the slips and the other half chances he gave. And so Pant didn't disappoint Sunil Gavaskar today. Instead, on a day where he played wild slogs at terrible times, the keeper brought up his 100 and the cameras found Sunil Gavaskar on the balcony, enjoying it as much as anyone. What was the difference? 2 bad shots at awful times. In one universe, the edge carries and Pant is out. In another, it drifts off into space, untethered to our primitive gravity. That's the Pant multiverse theory. For every reckless shot, there's a timeline where it seems to work. Today, there is a reality where Sunil Gavaskar is shouting, "Stupid, stupid, stupid," again. And another one where he admits that the keeper is stupidly good. In Rishabh Pant's multiverse, everything is possible. Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.